Hello everyone and welcome! We have talked about the past few times already, mostly through Aatrox's lore. But Aatrox is not the only character that lived and shaped the history of Runeterra. Today I want to tell you the story about the rise of the Black King. Many centuries ago, before the rise of Demacia and Noxus, Mordekaiser ruled the lands of Eastern Valoran. He was known as a warlord king that was able to destroy entire armies all by himself. He wore heavy iron armor and wielded a legendary mace, Nightfall. Mordekaiser became one of the most powerful warlords in the history of Runeterra. But even his reign had to end one day. After a long and bloody day of battle, Mordekaiser stood on top of a mountain of corpses, surrounded by his enemies. He laughed as he died, pierced by arrows, swords and spears. With his last words, he promised his killers that he would come back for them. But his enemies did not care. They were happy that the dark reign has ended. As a part of their celebration, they threw Mordekaiser's body into fire. The flames consumed everything but his bones and his blackened armor. After the celebration was over, they moved on, leaving Mordekaiser's remains behind. That was their biggest mistake. Later that night, few necromancers decided to bring back the Dark King. They gathered Mordekaiser's bones and armor and they used it for their necromantic sorcery. Unfortunately, it was a success. A dark wraith formed of pure darkness rose to its feet, leaving the skeleton behind. The fire-blackened iron armor slammed into place around the spirit. The necromancers kneeled before their new master. They had been promised great power for their service, but they had not foreseen how they were to be rewarded. Mordekaiser made them immortal by taking away their lives and turning them into the undead. Over the next decade, Mordekaiser fulfilled his promise and he killed everyone that took away his mortal body. He cursed them all and he turned them into his undead army. Over time, Mordekaiser accepted his new title, the Iron Revenant. His reign of darkness continued for many years. Several times he was seemingly slain, but every time he was defeated, the necromancers brought him back. The key to his resurrections were his bones. He needed a way to protect them. That's why he constructed a fortress in the middle of his empire known as the Immortal Bastion. Here at the core of this stronghold, he locked away his remains. Eventually, the Immortal Bastion was besieged by the alliance of every living being around his empire. During the siege, an unknown thief infiltrated the fortress and he stole away Mordekaiser's skull. Without his complete skeleton, the necromancers were not able to bring Mordekaiser back again. They were afraid of their punishment for losing the skull, and so they kept it a secret. Soon, the Immortal Bastion was completely overrun. Mordekaiser was able to slay thousands, but even he got eventually outnumbered. They took Nightfall away from him, they wrapped chains around his limbs, and they tore him apart. But Mordekaiser laughed. He had no reason not to believe that he would be resurrected again. He had no idea what was to come. Mordekaiser's skull was taken across the sea to the Blessed Isles. The monks of this place knew everything about Mordekaiser. They stole his skull away in order to save the world. They knew that Mordekaiser's loyal servants would look for it, and so they placed it in a vault deep beneath the ground, secured behind locks and magical wards. It seemed like the dark reign was truly over. Years rolled into decades, decades rolled into centuries, until a cataclysm was unleashed upon the Blessed Isles. A mad king unleashed a terrible spell that covered the lands in darkness, turning them into a twisted realm of undying, the Shadow Isles. During this explosion, the vaults securing Mordekaiser's skull were torn asunder. The necromancers from all around Runeterra were drawn to this place. Here they completed Mordekaiser's skeleton and they unleashed him upon this world once again. Mordekaiser slowly turned Shadow Isles into his new empire. The black mist created during the cataclysm is not strong enough to control Mordekaiser. Instead, he uses the mist to make him even more powerful. Mordekaiser is now gathering his forces and waiting for the right moment to take back the Immortal Bastion. But in this cycle, the Immortal Bastion is known as Noxus. This is where his lore ends, and it makes me wonder, is Riot planning on doing an event where Mordekaiser raids into Noxus and tries to take it back? I really want to see Riot expanding on his story. There is so much potential for a great war, but seeing how Riot works on so many champions at once, I don't think we will see that happening anytime soon. But sadly, that's it for this video. As always, thank you for coming here and watching this video. Every single like means a lot to me. All your feedback is appreciated. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook, and as absolutely always, thank you, come again. So again, I don't really have anything clever to say at the end of this video, so instead I brought someone else to say something clever.
At long last. No king rules forever, my son.
I see.